Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Rivemy.
And I'm Diana McCollum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we're surfing the same vibes of last week is what we're doing.
Oh man, this sounds internet-based, even though it's not.
Surf's up, dude. We're riding the vibes.
We're riding the vibes of video game playing movies.
Whoa.
Whoa. Look out, dude.
Cowabunga.
California.
Heading to California. Here we come. We are coming to California. So we're continuing. Last week, the vibes was we were talking about Gran Turismo.
We were talking about Gran Turismo.
A movie where someone is competing in video games so hard that they go pro in a very specific way.
Yes, in not a video game.
And they play video games so hard that they don't play video games no more.
He kind of gave up what he loved, but that's not a review of We're not reviewing Gran Turismo right now.
That was last week's shit.
That was last week's shit. It's available right now.
Yeah. We're talking about 1989's The Wizard today.
Very different movie about playing video games to achieve your dreams? Question mark? Big ol' question mark.
Big old question mark that we have going on to achieve something. You go on a video game based journey eventually.
Yes. You are doing a quest so you can play video games. It's a quest like a video game quest would be.
Yeah.
There are obstacles.
There's obstacles.
There's stuff in the way.
There's all kinds of stuff going on.
You got to collect money as you go.
Absolutely. a classic journey. A classic journey. And we're going to keep these vibes going for a little bit as well. Next week on the podcast, keeping the video game inspiration going, we were going to cover, we've never covered this on the podcast. We didn't cover it when it came out because it seemed like a stinker, but let's dunk on it. Next week, we're going to be talking about Ready Player One.
A movie neither of us have seen. I think you read it?
I did read it.
Oh, Andrew
but I
read
haven't seen
the thing.
It. I'm a reader, you know.
He's a reader. He's not so into movies.
I'm not a big movie guy.
We've all been talking about how Andrew just reads, and he'll watch it if he'll walk through the room when I watch something.
That's basically how this podcast works for our new listeners, and then as well to keep you apprised as to what we've got going on the podcast. So today we're talking about The Wizard. Next week we're talking about Ready Player One, and this month on the Patreon exclusive, we are going to be talking about Tron, the original Tron.
1982 Tron.
So
blow those suits.
So a strong video games have come to life inspired journey of a month that we have going on the pod.
Yeah, movies about playing video games as opposed to video game movies.
Yes.
Like a Dune or a Prince of Persia, or I mean Doom.
Doom. Okay.
Sorry, the M wasn't clear. I could tell I hadn't M'd very well.
I understand.
On that word.
I understand. Yeah. And you just had like Timothée Chalamet vibes went ready to come out. Dude.
I mean, when you say California and then you go into Doom.
It makes it tricky. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but movies about video games, which we're messing around all this month. The Patreon exclusive episode will be up soon. If you're not already, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. But we're talking about 1989's The Wizard today on the pod. Before we do get into The Wizard, though, we do want to thank our sponsor of today's episode. We want to thank our friends over at Mint Mobile.
Mint Mobile is our friends because they offer plans with unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network for $15 a month. This is killer.
That's killer. Like that is a price that I'm going to describe as chill. Chill is subjective, but I'm going to say that that's a chill price, especially at a time when I don't know what has happened these past couple of months, but literally every subscription and regular thing that I am a part of, I've gotten an email that's just like, times are tough, we got to shoot these prices up on you. And I'm like, what is going on? And Mint Mobile is coming in with a real cool and breezy $15 unlimited talk, text, and data plan.
Yeah, and big wireless plans, they're adding unexpected fees and you never know what you're going to get, and it's just killing you. Mint Mobile has these great plans. You don't have to get a new phone. You can use your existing phone and you can get either an eSIM card or you can have a SIM card mailed to you. It is so easy. It was wildly easy. Went on the site and it's just here's your options. You're going to get your eSIM or you're going to get your SIM card mailed to you. You're going to be set up, no problem, $15 a month.
That was one thing that I really enjoyed about the setup process. Is just how easy and
transparent.
Transparent.
Yeah.
I felt like I had cell phone plan literacy while I was signing up for them, whereas like a lot of the times it's like it's so confusing and there's too many things and you have to add on this to create a super mega premium package that allows you to unlock the special flute that allows you to skip to level 8 or whatever the hell it is that's going on most cell phone carriers' websites. But Mint Mobile, it was straightforward. It was simple. It was $15. Everything is just smooth and easy with Mint Mobile. And to get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/TFS. That's mintmobile.com/TFS. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/TFS. And thank you very much, Mint Mobile, for your support.
Thank you, Mint Mobile, for your support and your wildly reasonable prices.
Pew pew. And now let's get into the episode. Let's talk about 1989's The Wizard. All right, we have watched 1989's The Wizard.
We've seen it.
A film that I've seen before. I've seen when I was very young. Have you seen it before?
I've also seen it when I was very young because I distinctly remembered several parts. One part that has bothered me almost my entire life, which we'll get into later.
Okay. Okay, but it's been a while for both of us.
Been a minute.
It's not a classic that either one of us revisit. It's been a couple of decades minimum since either one of us have seen this.
It's been a while since I've seen it, and it doesn't show up on cable TV for some reason. An old movie that you rewatch is one that used to come up on TBS, the Superstation, all the time. And this just never was anywhere. It wasn't on kids' networks. It wasn't on adults' networks. It never had a syndication.
Yeah, I don't know who owns this and what licensing they just weren't willing to sell or do. But literally, same thing, literally, I would say the last time I saw this was a VHS cassette. This movie has not existed since a VHS cassette. So this has been in a limbo of existence for a while, but we've rewatched it. Let's start with the usual question. Diana, did you like it?
I guess I liked it, despite itself. It is so wild. It is just at the cusp of the 80s, because it's 1989, and it might be the most 80s movie of all time. It is just so children doing their own thing, not with parents just being cool with it, or at least adults, not so much the parents. But and it's, I don't know, it's hard to wrap my head around this movie. I guess I will say, as with Gran Turismo, it really builds to a great third act. The third act works the best of the movie. So you're like, okay, this works. But it's such a weird mishmash of traumas and fun video game stuff. It's such a weird balance, but I guess I liked it. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it ever again, but I'm I didn't hate it. I wasn't this sucks. At no point did I think this sucked as I watched it. So I guess I liked The Wizard. There's always something happening, even though it's also kind of slow. It's a weird movie. It's a very, very weird movie, and I can't wait to discuss more about this odd little ball of a film. Andrew, did you like The Wizard?
I agree with so much of what you're saying. I liked it fine.
Right?
I liked it fine. This isn't a classic. It's not a classic. It's not one that but I'm I think maybe it's worth seeing once if for people who haven't seen it in their lives, just for a piece of time that it exists. But I agree, it has a lot of different plot lines going on. There is a lot going on. And some of it works, and some of it's interesting, and some of it's very dated, and dated in a way of this feels like the 70s, and some of it's weirdly progressive in a way of the 2000s. Yeah. So I'm it exists at a bunch of different time zones, in a bunch of different eras simultaneously, which is kind of interesting. So it's interesting, it's unique. I agree, it starts just dog shit slow, and it is kind of boring, and it takes 20 minutes before anyone mentions video games, which is the core premise of the movie. So it moves at a glacial pace, but it gets nothing but faster and better with every moment that the movie progresses.
Yeah.
So its third act is frenetic and fun and having a great time and kind of knows what it is. And it's fun and playful and competitive, and there's a goofy chase, but then it ends with a bit of sincerity and heart warmth. And it all just kind of works by the end of it, but it starts shitty, and it does take a while to get there. So yeah, it's a real mixed bag.
It's a wildly mixed bag. Let me throw out a theory that I came up with right after we finished this movie. That like this is based on nothing. I feel like this original script, because there is a half-hour longer version of this movie available on Blu-ray. So we watched the hour 40 version. There's an over 2-hour long version. I think the original script of this movie might not have had video games in it.
Oh, okay.
I think the original script of this movie was Fred Savage's character takes his brother to California, and they never play video games.
Oh, and then at some point they were like, Nintendo's going to fund this movie.
Let's shoehorn in some video games, because like their brother doesn't get healed via the video games. It's getting to the dinosaur and leaving the lunchbox there. It's just getting to California in general. The video games aren't introduced until 25 minutes into an hour and 40-minute movie. I think this movie was originally about them going to California, having to make money along the way some way. I don't know if it was video games originally or what. And then they just like needed to find the dinosaur place. And then I think they cut a bunch of stuff out and added video games. And that's why the video game stuff is so irrelevant. And here's the most reason I will say I think the video game stuff was never involved in the original script. I have never once seen a movie before with a $50,000 prize and a character who didn't need money.
Yeah.
Jimmy's very rich. His parents are very well off. Haley isn't the girl, but this isn't a story about her.
Right.
So like he's like, we have to win this $50,000. Our parents are super rich, but we're still going to win this contest.
Yeah, there is no real reason for them to win it, is there?
No, they don't need money.
Huh. Wild. This is a great observation.
Their dad has bounty hunter money.
Yeah.
He's hired, literally called a bounty hunter, not a child retrievist or a private detective. He's a bounty hunter.
He's not even a bounty hunter. He describes his job as, I get kids for money.
Yes.
Not adults. This is a bad dude.
He describes it like he will child traffic.
Yes.
If you pay him enough,
he'll grab you any child. It doesn't have to be your child.
It just happened to be that this job he took is someone who does own that child.
100%.
He has definitely stolen other children for illegal purposes.
This man has done crimes and will commit them again. Absolutely.
And will because he does not go to jail.
He will commit them again.
He will commit them again.
So
as soon as he gets a new car, so many crimes.
He's committing crimes again.
Will be committed.
I love this observation of yours. I think I agree with it. I don't know what the backstory is, but like it tracks your theory, and I think that like just the quick summary for people who didn't see this movie
or have for a while.
It's rare that we cover a 1989 movie that just I think isn't on a streaming service as well. So it is Fred Savage, and he takes his brother on a trip to California. And then they discover along the way his brother is really good at video games, and they enter him in a video game competition that takes place in California, and they go on to win it. All the while, his dad is chasing them, trying to get them back, and his mom and her new boyfriend, husband, or whatever have hired a guy to track them down. So there's two sets of people chasing them, and they're on a journey to California. And it's a bit chaotic. I'm not sure if I see what you're saying, that the original script might have just been I'm taking my brother on a journey to California, because it seems that the story of this movie is that the brother had a twin sister who has drowned and now has PTSD and is autistic, I believe.
I don't know.
Though never explicitly said.
Yeah, they never say if he is autistic or if he got PTSD from the drowning thing and just needs to like more therapy.
Yeah.
Because he does seem to be coming out of his shell more throughout the movie. And like in the photos of before when he had a sister, he's like playing baseball and stuff, which does not seem like something he could do at this point in his life now.
Oh, okay.
So like that was my hint that I'm like, I don't think he has been like this before her death.
Right. And I think that there are moments, though, of like they're going for the kind of the dated mathematical anomaly interpretation of what autism is. Like, this came out a year after Rain Man, and this is child Rain Man.
Oh, it's absolutely child Rain Man.
It is two kids go on a road trip that ends up in a casino while they try to game a competition in order for profit. Like, it is child Rain Man is what the movie that is written.
Yeah, except the way they do it's legal. You're not counting cards. You're just like, I'm just good at Mario.
Yeah. So I do wonder if maybe the original script was like, oops, we wrote Rain Man. And then Rain Man came out, and they were like, what if we made these characters younger and Nintendo sponsored us? Ooh. So maybe that was also the journey of the script.
That might have been the journey of the script. It's just, this movie is so weird because, like, I guess now in the 2000s, we're very much used to, like, kind of product placement movies that are about the product. Like, we just saw Barbie. It's called Barbie, and it's about Barbie. The Lego movie is about Lego, and it's all Lego all the time. So for this movie to be a movie about Nintendo and has like the first look of Super Mario 3 you've ever seen, and like it's so much about video games, but to also be like, it's about this child's trauma of when his sister died, and also this young girl's trauma because her mom is a gambling addict and they lost their house and everything they own. And like, I assume the other mother is dead of the other kids because she's not in the picture anywhere. Just this movie filled with trauma. And it's like, also there's video games. Like, not how but also maybe how we would do stuff today. Like, Barbie was so existential that I'm like, have we come full circle of how we used to do this?
But it's weird, though, that, like, I don't know if we've come full circle as much as, like, this has two different movies happening. Because it is mid-90s indie movie bleak. Like, this is
Garden State.
This is bleak.
Bleak.
This is bleak.
Yeah.
So this
it has the 80s bullies.
Yeah.
Which 90s
it does
really
have 80s bullies
90s
in it.
didn't have the bullies anymore.
We eased the gas off the bully car in the 90s.
But the traumas are here.
The traumas are there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's bleak at times. But then there's moments of, like, it's also weirdly progressive for 89. Like, even the fact that I'm like, it takes me a minute to be like, whose kids are whose and what's going on with this family?
Oh, yeah.
Which is very nicely modern. The movie, I think, explains it in ways that are clunky, but it's not until, like, the third act of the movie that, like, I think Fred Savage's character is explaining it to Haley, and is like, my dad got remarried. That's her second wife. The twin sister drowned in front of him. And it's like, okay, now we're getting all the connections. But even just to have a movie in 89 where a man is now divorced after his second marriage, and she has moved on with someone else, and the point of the movie is not that they should be back together. Because literally it wasn't until, I'm going to say, like, 2005 that movies got comfortable with the idea that divorce is sometimes a good call. Like it was very recently that media was like, it's okay to be divorced. And
I think Ant-Man was the first movie I ever saw where I was like, this is a happy, healthy family that has been through a divorce.
Yeah. Yeah, they're dealing with their own shit about getting small and being an ex-con, but they're doing well with having, and like there's animosity between the new partnerings, but it's fine. But for this to be like this in 89, it's almost jarring to even see how comfortable this is. Like, it's commonplace now, but I'm like, it feels like I'm watching the pilot to Modern Family, where I'm like, there are literally 4 different complex family interconnectivities that are happening here.
And really surprising for, like, a kid's movie in 1989 that, in a weird way, I'm going to say, like, wasn't, like, Oscar baity. Because I feel like a movie about a family that has broken apart because a child died in front of one of the other children and then the parents couldn't make it work is very much a, like, you can make an Oscar bait movie out of that premise.
Right.
You take the video games out and you've got...
Or the heartbreaking kind of classic, You're My Girl or whatever, a child has died. This is a severe movie that we'll all remember generationally.
But instead, they're like, yeah, this just happens. And, like, not like you have to get over it, not like it wasn't a big deal, but it's like, we've moved on. It's been 2 years. And like, yeah, we're just 2 separate families now, but we have shared custody. And it's just how things are. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That is very progressive for 1989, for that not to be the focus of the film.
Yeah, even for the new husband or boyfriend as well, which is portrayed as like, a jerk, and is in a couple of ways and isn't in others. Like when Beau Bridges is like, that's my son you're talking about. And he's like, fine, your son and a child that I am the legal guardian of is gone missing, and I am going to find them. And I've hired a professional to find them. And it's like, yeah, okay, this dude is taking responsibility in a weird way.
Yeah, because he's also like, this movie opens and Jimmy has like run away for apparently the umpteenth time. And he's like, I send the police after him every time. Like, I make sure we get this kid back. Right now, he's at therapy. Like, I think that's a therapist they're talking to in the opening scene. Like, they are trying. He is like a bit of an asshole, but he is genuinely trying to help this kid. He doesn't seem to have any connection to him, which I get because he's probably been mute since he met him. It's hard to form a bond that way, but he is taking full, absolute responsibility. He hires a total insane bounty hunter, but he doesn't probably know that.
Yeah. That's a whole thing we can unpack more later. But
I think the only thing that is just such an incredible dick move is both the new husband and the bounty hunter both agreeing they're only going to bring back one kid. What are you talking about?
That's a pretty insane move.
The 9-year-old and the 13-year-old are together.
Yeah,
and you're only going to bring back the 9-year-old?
The implication that it's like, I leave that 13-year-old in the desert. Like, that's not my kid and not my problem.
Wandering the streets of Reno alone.
Yeah.
Just turning tricks, I guess. I will leave him there.
Just any kid who isn't my kid is not my problem. Yeah, that is a bold and insane.
Yeah, for the dad to have said that is crazy. For the bounty hunter to be like, I've only been hired to get one kid. I don't give a shit. But
other than the insane, I don't care if one kid lives or dies thing.
It was a normal, nice kid.
It was a normal, nice kid. A weirdly progressive and modern family that I can't believe existed in a movie in the year 1989.
Yeah. Especially, you're so right about how they
Jimmy don't get back together at the end.
And that's
either.
not what Jimmy's trying to do either. He wants to go to California for his sister, and he does manage to bring both of his parents together. And literally every other movie, you're right, would have been like, and now the parents have rekindled their love, and they've gotten over their grief about Jennifer together because Jimmy has done this thing. But no, it's like, we're going to go home in separate cars, but you should spend more time with your son. That's fine. Nothing has been rekindled, but they figured out their grief though.
Yeah.
Through Super Mario Brothers 3.
Through, frankly, not that related to Super Mario Brothers.
No, it's not.
Because, the completely unrelated story of this movie, the emotional core is a child with PTSD watched his sister drown and now has a lunchbox full of her belongings that he wants to leave at this vacation spot, at this tourist attraction where he has a nice memory of her because that's how he is going to move forward and kind of lay her memory to rest and reintegrate into his family in the world. And then unrelated, he's also good at video games. Completely unrelated. Completely unrelated.
Completely unrelated. Before he drops off that lunchbox, he wins $50,000 real quick, which even in today, a lot of money.
Huge.
In 1989?
Huge.
It's like 75,000 or about 100,000. What do you think?
I mean,
equivalent.
I'm going to say that's more than 100 grand even equivalent. It's split 3 ways, but 3 ways between children. Like, Haley gets a cut, too.
Haley does get a cut, yes.
Yeah.
That she will not be, although I feel like, I don't know how jerky these parents are. I think they would probably try to not give her a cut.
Oh, yeah. Let's be real. She's never seeing that cut.
She's got no legal cut coming her way.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Jimmy has really understood what's happening money-wise.
Yeah, Haley...
It's going into a trust.
Yeah,
no
Haley
what.
is just a child who helped transport a runaway child across state borders, which is a crime, and I think the parents will not pay her for that. But in the fantasy world, a third of that money was supposed to be enough to buy a house. So that's 1989, baby.
That's 1989, baby. You could play video games so good you can buy a house with a third of the winning.
Yes, about 16 grand. That'll get you a house in Reno right there. So.
But after that,
yes.
you lay your sister to rest at a tourist attraction.
Yeah. But you're good at video games in between.
Let me ask you this. If you're one of the parents or even the siblings of Jimmy, and he's laid his sister to rest and left lunchbox there, and you're all leaving. Did you go back in and grab that lunchbox?
Yes.
Yeah. What the fuck? Someone's got to grab that lunchbox, right? We don't have multiple copies of photos in 1989.
Yeah.
There are like half a dozen to a dozen photos of her in there. That's all you have.
And someone who works at that tourist attraction is throwing that lunchbox
Right in the trash.
Immediately in the trash.
Right into the trash.
Immediately in the trash.
Maybe
yes.
you don't need to grab the lunchbox because he's going to see if you do that, but you got to grab the photos.
You go in.
You can't leave the
You
photos.
open it and have a look at what was important in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like some things you can leave behind.
I
but-
100% agree.
Yeah. When they all walk away and I'm like, somebody go grab that lunchbox. You're going to really want those photos?
Someday you'll really want those photos.
Yeah, I know this is very like a nice, touching sentiment, an act to do.
I agree with that too.
But within a few months, you're going to want those photos.
Yeah, like I think there was like a couple things in there, like a crayon drawing and like an old like ring pop, and it was like
Yeah, there was some like kids jewelry and stuff.
You can leave that in there maybe, but yeah, take a photo or two.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, like I think he's the only one who had that nice family photo of all of them at the dinosaur.
I think you might be right.
I don't think you want to leave that behind.
I agree with this.
I think you're going to heal a little bit better if you've got some photos.
Yeah. And then, you know, as a parent, you can just lie and be like, we had an extra copy of this photo at home, so now this is the copy. And, you know, definitely like don't mention it's the one that you left behind. But yeah, I can agree with this behavior.
There used to be a way to make copies, right? If you had the negatives.
If you had the negatives, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you had the negatives,
So-
you can make a bunch of copies.
So yeah, you can. There's ways to lie.
You got to hope the negatives are at home. And this movie, though, it just does take a while as well to get to the video games. Not only is it unconnected, it feels like forever. Realistically, I think it's like 25 minutes before we get to video games.
It is so long, and I think the weirdest part about this is I think like 10 or 15 minutes before we get to video games, Fred Savage breaks Jimmy out of like this home he's been put into, and Jimmy's just sitting in a room watching a TV, not playing a video game, and that to me was insane.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm just like, oh, we're not gonna establish he just plays video games in his free time. We're just gonna have him watching a movie. Okay, and he's like, was that the first video game he ever played?
Well, no, because later Christian Slater's character, who plays the older brother, by the way, Christian Slater is here.
He rocks also.
And
he's really good.
He really fucking rips. Holy shit.
He fucking rules in this movie.
I know I'm not saying anything revolutionary here, but Christian Slater is just wildly charming and charismatic on screen.
He really is. And he also has like perfect like early Leonardo DiCaprio hair. Like
Yeah.
just like that perfect blonde sweep.
Flawless hair,
Looks great.
look. Every time he isn't on screen, I was thinking to myself, where's Christian Slater? Ends up kind of being the person who I want to be the star of this movie.
Yeah.
Has a secret like backdoor plot movie of like the road trip movie with his dad where they rekindle a relationship and they share a bonding experience over a Nintendo video game system.
That was nice. That's what really made it feel like Nintendo made this movie. Of like, oh, Nintendo can fix anything.
We'll bring every family together.
We will bring your family together in so many ways. We'll bring father and son together. Your other son will get over his traumas via video games. It's all good stuff.
Yeah,
We'll
here's
fix
$50,000. You own a house now. We're Nintendo.
everything. We're Nintendo. But yeah, the Christian Slater is wildly electric, super fun to watch, and also Beau Bridges is as well. So this
Yeah.
is just every part about them road tripping, trying to find the kids is phenomenal and probably the highlights of the movie.
So they're road tripping to find the kids, and then one night in a motel, Christian Slater goes out and like grabs a Nintendo that's been in the bed of the truck for a while and plugs it in. And Beau Bridges is like, "Where did you get this?" And Christian Slater is, "Don't you remember? You bought this for the kids." So I think that does imply that Jimmy and his sister did have a Nintendo growing up, or at least for however many years I guess it could have been before the family fell apart.
Okay, I got the impression that was Fred Savage's, but I don't. But then again, I don't know when Jimmy left either.
But either way, they had a Nintendo in the house. But it is weird that the movie starts with the Nintendo quietly and unknowing to us as an audience in the flatbed of a truck, not hooked up to any television and not an object that anyone plays in any scene.
Just waiting to change their lives. Just
Yeah.
sitting there. I also like that this movie, I don't think this is actually in there. I think this is me reading too much into it. I think this movie also maybe slightly suggests that everyone in the family is maybe a video game savant. Because Beau Bridges, like, gets really good really fast.
Yeah.
He's like on the 3rd level of Hyrule within 2 hours. I don't know if that's hard, but yeah, he was like really into it and seemed really good really fast. And I'm like, oh, are you like, is your son like, oh, my son is also good at video games. We'll bond over this later.
We all have it. We all have the gene.
It's a little bit like Jedi Force stuff.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. So we all have the gene. We all have the special Nintendo
We all
power.
know how to find the whistles and go find all the bombs on Ninja Turtles.
We're all zooming around.
I also, I loved seeing how you had to figure out how games worked back in the day before the internet. I knew about these phone lines from we watched one of those documentaries about video games once.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. I mean, I remember the phone line always existing, the Nintendo Power hotline, but I don't remember the documentary we were watching.
Oh, I don't remember which one it was. It was one of those like toys that made us or something.
Sure.
Ones. But yeah, there was a guy who used to work there and he was being interviewed about what they were like. And I was like, oh man, they really captured exactly what that guy said it was.
Yeah, which was like the binders of stuff that you had to actually. Well, I'm sure like they had Nintendo working or consulting on this movie, being here's what this room looks like.
Yeah,
it is an adult with a cigarette and binders of information in front of him.
He would have had a cigarette.
He would have had a cigarette, yeah.
He didn't in this, but he would have had a cigarette. Anyway, it's crazy you had to call a guy if you couldn't pass a level back in the day.
Wild shit.
Wild where we've gone from.
Yeah. So it's been a ride.
I wonder if you could call in for the Power Glove. Which, do I turn a little left or do I like move my thumb?
How do I operate the Power Glove? They're like, we've sold 3 of these, Lucas.
Lucas, you're the only guy rocking
Lucas,
the Power Glove.
you need to stop calling us Lucas.
Lucas is like, will it be? Is there a Power Glove category at Video Armageddon? And they're like, absolutely, there is not a Power Glove category at Video Game Armageddon.
No, you cannot bring your Power Glove. It's cool that you have it, Lucas.
I'm glad your friends all think it's really neat and that you have made a bespoken case to keep it in with your name like chiseled into it.
Lucas has money. Lucas has money.
Lucas didn't need the $50,000.
No, he
in
did
any
not.
way, shape,
He
or
did
nobody
not at
did
all.
except Haley. But
yeah, and hey, maybe the other lady who's competing, we don't know her deal.
we don't know about Mora, and I
Mora.
like that her and Lucas had a side rivalry that I think they've been in other competitions before.
I kind of loved that little detail that they seem to have some shade towards one another.
Fucking Mora.
Fucking Mora, and Mora's like fucking Luke. It's like them having a weird thing to be like, Mora's not in this movie, but cool, Mora. Cool. What's your deal?
I like a fleshed out side character who has agency and feels like they live beyond this scene.
Who else is a fleshed out side character is the host of Video Armageddon, who is on 9 layers of cocaine.
This was crazy because this was definitely the audition was like, this host is on cocaine. And then everyone who was an actor in LA at the time was like, I'm on cocaine. I'll audition for this. So now you got an actor who's definitely on cocaine playing a character on cocaine. And that's just double cocaine.
Yeah, and the character they're playing is an actor who got a live performance gig at Universal to fuel their cocaine like every layer, every inception of this person's mind is pure cocaine.
Yeah, like when Jimmy didn't show up and he only had 2 competitors and he was supposed to have 3, you could see his face going like, if I don't get a 3rd competitor, I'm not getting cocaine for some reason.
Yeah.
Like this is going to affect my cocaine intake if I don't get this 3rd kid here.
And he has that crazy, I just chain smoked an entire pack of cigarette voice where it's just like, but while also screaming. So it's him at a live event being like, our next competitor, give it up for Jimmy, Jim. And I'm like, I'm scared. I'm scared of you.
Yeah, he felt like a villain in like a Super Mario movie or something, like King Koopa in like the John Leguizamo version or like an actual villain.
Yes.
And I'm like, like, you are not who I would hire to be around children, but also neither is the bounty hunter in this movie.
Yeah, none of these people should be around
I
children.
will say he was very good at keeping the energy up during the 10 minutes you couldn't see them play the video game.
Dude actually did a pretty good job of vamping during this live stage production of a pretty shitty video game.
His crowd work was phenomenal because in the semifinals, the crowd can't see the little screens they're playing. Only in the finals can they see the screens and actually watch them play. So he had been vamping all day.
Yeah.
He needed that cocaine.
Yes, he needed that cocaine.
All of it.
Once they get to the finals, they have the bigger screens where the audience could see, but like it was a pretty shitty layout on the earlier round. I also think it's bullshit it was only 2 rounds. Because like the whole movie, they're like, we gotta train Jimmy on all 100 games it could possibly be and master every game. And they show up and they're like, it's Ninja Gaiden and then 1 new game. And it's like, there's 2 rounds? That's not enough rounds.
I actually sincerely didn't mind that at all. I think because everyone played the same game on the first round, and it's like, and if you were good, you go to the finals.
Right.
Top 3?
Top 3 go to the finals.
Top 3 go to the finals. I don't mind that it was a new game since none of them had played it, although that is a very different skill from having mastered a different game.
Yes.
Being able to play a new game blind is wildly different.
Well, like, it doesn't make it a Nintendo contest. It makes it a contest for who's the best at Ninja Gaiden for a chance to play the next Nintendo game. That's the contest.
That is true.
That's the contest.
Yeah, it was not who is the best Super Mario 3 player, that's for sure, because
Yes.
they had never played it before. And this brings me to my thing that's bothered me since I was a child. I will never forgive.
I think I know where you're going with this.
How do they know what warp tubes are? How? Haley's in the audience and she's screaming. She's like, get the whistle, go in the warp tubes. And I know she's been calling the phone line, but this game isn't out.
Yeah.
They are the first people to ever play it. And this has bothered me since I was a child.
Yep.
And I won't let it go.
It doesn't make any sense.
I will not forgive.
It doesn't make any sense. Here's what else doesn't make fucking sense about that.
Hit me.
The contest is scored by points.
Yeah.
Not how far you get in the game.
He's going far.
So warping ahead is not as beneficial as it is just jumping on every enemy's head and getting the highest point score per level. So the warp could be beneficial if you somehow knew which level got the most points, which at this point none of them do.
None of them do.
So there's no benefit. It's not about who can finish the game first. It's not a speed run. It's a point-based competition.
Yeah, like at one point, Lucas is jumping and he missed a coin and he didn't go back. And I'm like, that's the points.
Yes.
The coins are the points.
I mean, I think you do get more points by finishing the level with more time left on the clock than you do from coin. So there is a cost-benefit analysis for sure.
Did they know that?
Yes, exactly.
Unless it's the same rules as 2. I don't really remember how similar those games were.
And even if like they finish a level and like that one's good and then the next level turns out less points, you could go back and just keep grinding the same level. It's a points-based contest, so none of it makes any fucking sense.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
The contest fucking sucks. This contest
And yeah,
sucks.
and Jimmy kept falling behind in points because he kept dying, but I'm like, he's still just playing. I guess he's not getting the finish the level points.
Yeah. So
Maybe when you skip ahead, you get all the finish the level points.
I don't think
No, I
so,
don't
but
think
maybe
so. It
the
doesn't
maybe the
seem
levels
right.
ahead have more points or are worth more, but that's still a gamble.
Yeah, I never found the whistle to be worth anything.
Yeah, I don't recall it having an inherent point value to the
Although
whistle.
the points also just don't do anything.
Yeah. And even when and at one point when Jimmy flies off screen,
Why would you?
and the host is like, Jimmy found the secret area, Jimmy. And I'm like, but that would involve you either inherently knowing or fucking around right now.
You're
And-
fucking around to find out. He found out. He fucked around and he found out.
But like, if you're playing Super Mario 3 for the first time, and you can't just be flying around looking for secret areas. You either have to know where they are, or like, you got to get your head in the fucking game, Jimmy.
You got to get your head in the game. And here's what also I will say definitely didn't happen. The people who worked at Nintendo, the whatever rep showed up and was like, here's Super Mario 3, it's the only copy. That guy definitely did not whisper to that coked out judge that there's a whistle somewhere that he has to find. The host did not know anything about how this was not a Nintendo man. This was
No.
a man hired to host a game.
This is a cocaine man.
This is a cocaine man who was hired to hype up children for 3 hours
Yeah.
during a video game contest.
Yeah, Mario's flying high like me. Look at him go.
Yeah, this guy definitely did not know what flutes were, what warp tubes were, what secret rooms were.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
This is a man who is feeding his dark horse, and that is all that he has going on.
Despite everything we've just said, an awesome sequence.
Awesome sequence.
An awesome sequence. Him just appearing when the walls open because they came down in the elevator is really fun.
Yep.
His dad, like, knowing what video games are now and being really excited that Jimmy's winning.
The first fun chase with the bounty hunter
Yeah.
that didn't feel abusive.
I mean, it did a little when they ran into fire.
I mean, no one was burned or anything,
They
but
could
like,
have been.
but it was something about like, it's like we're at Universal Studios. A Frankenstein's playing a little goof on this little slime
Yeah.
ball, and it's like we're running through the cart during a Universal Studios tour. What? This guy wants to give a tour though. Whereas prior to that, every other moment with the bounty hunter was like very like threatening, and it was very like, oh no, someone's going to die today. I'm worried. And this was fun.
Yeah, because I agree, because every other interaction with the bounty hunter was either in a small town or a desert, which is where murders happen and where children are kidnapped and never seen again. At Universal Pictures, it's giant, there's crowds, there's security. That guy's not getting you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like same thing at the casino. Like Haley just has to yell, "That guy's stealing that child, and he touched my breast," and the security's like, "Ouch." You're on it. So they really needed to be more populated places. Because, yeah, as soon as you get this guy anywhere secluded, it's like, this is very wildly scary and inappropriate.
This is a man who the father of the child went and stabbed his tires because he said, I only get paid if I get kids. What?
Yeah, I feel
you're scary.
You're scary. For that to be option one, instead of his option one being like going up to the dad and being like, let's work together, but if we find them, I do still get paid.
Yeah.
That's an easy option that's on the table. He's acting like Beau Bridges is going to get his money if he finds his own children.
Yeah.
He's not a competitor. He's their dad.
He's your resource. He has intel that you can use to your advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this guy is absolutely insane. To be fair, Beau Bridges becomes equally insane when he hits him 3 times with his truck.
I'm actually going to say no.
You don't think that was equally as insane?
I'm going to say, if anything, reserved.
Even after the 3rd hit?
I think that once you're like, oh no, my son's missing, I need to find my son, and a crazy man stabs your tires and says, you're never going to find your son. At that point, that person is a threat to the life of me and my child, and I am going to push their car off a cliff. Like, it is not a farcical madcap journey anymore. Now it is straight up, I am going to hurt this man.
Yeah. The energy did shift very quickly because the bounty hunter was like, I'm going to stab the tires and that'll be good for me. And Beau Bridges was like, I am going to murder you.
Yeah,
I'm going to kill you with this shovel. I am actively trying to kill you.
Yeah, he threw a shovel like a javelin. It was incredible.
It was really cool.
It was fucking cool as hell.
It was awesome. The Beau Bridges, Christian Slater part of this movie fucking rocks.
Fucking rocks. But I'm on Beau Bridges' side. He did nothing wrong, and if anything, was reserved dealing with this man.
I am mostly on Beau Bridges' side. I think it was 1 too many hits with a car.
Ah, okay.
I'm okay with about 2 hits.
Sure.
I like disabling the car, not letting him go after your son anymore. The 3rd hit really felt like a murder.
I'm still fine with it.
Still fine with it.
I'm
I mean,
still
it's the
fine
80s.
with
He
it.
would have got away with it.
Yeah. I'm still fine with it. I did love Christian Slater, though, in the car being like, whoa, we're doing this, Dad? And putting the seatbelt on. Slater just selling the shit out of every second of this.
Slater.
So charming, so fun.
So good. And also just good at like the drama part as well. Just being like upset with his dad and like wanting to talk. And yeah. Really good stuff.
Yeah, they were playing a really good movie together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whereas like the kids were like, we're all fine. Like Fred Savage has been cuter and more likable on Wonder Years and other stuff, and like he's doing fine, but like none of the kid stuff super works.
None of the kid stuff super works, but it doesn't not work, which I think is very impressive considering how much the kids are just there with kids. Like there's no adults, there's no actors who know what they're doing, there's no comedic relief. It's one child who literally is so traumatized he doesn't speak, and then two kids who also have a lot of problems. Like it's not really a romp.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they're pretty good. But yeah, it's not the highlight of the movie in any way. They're not bad.
Yeah.
But they're not really like great.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, not bad, but not great. Yeah.
Oh, to latch on to what we said about how the bounty hunter is especially scary, like in the deserts and stuff. So much of this movie is scary, even other than the bounty hunter. Like when the first people they get a ride with just rob them for $80.
Yeah.
Horrifying. Like they're chased by adults.
Yeah.
Like and just like grabbed and thrown around.
They're held down by adults for $80.
For $80. Adults who like agreed to give them a ride and then turned on them the second they saw a flash of cash.
And like literally, they didn't even know it was, first of all, $80. No amount of money is enough. $80 is definitely not enough. And she says $80, and she's like, we have combined an $80. And the driver looks over his shoulder and sees that she has, and I counted, about 10 ones. It's about 10 $1 bills is what she currently is counting. She has it fanned out and she's counting it like it's the most money in the world. You know how you feel when you're a child and you have $10 in ones. It's an awesome fucking feeling.
Yeah, you want to fan it out.
But it's $10 in singles. And the farmers are like, let's fuck these kids up and leave them to die.
Leave them on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. Not just like we're going to take their money when we get to where they wanted to be dropped off, which also isn't good.
Yeah.
But like leave them in a town.
Yep.
They are children.
Absolutely. A couple of teens like assault them and try to run them over because
very 80s for
very
$20.
80s for $20.
Not even for $80. That was for $20.
And a
Fred
hat.
Savage gets punched in the face by like a bully who is basically an adult.
Yes. Yeah.
An adult-sized bully punches this like 12-year-old boy in the face, and then he has to give up his $20.
That dude.
Oh, he takes all their money.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he ends up taking like or at least like as much as was in that sack. So yeah, they just get full on robbed.
Twice.
They get full on robbed twice.
Twice in this movie.
Twice, yeah. Robbed and just like left to die twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good the parents were trying to find them.
Yeah. They needed help. Frankly, even the weirdo bounty hunter might have been better.
Yeah, he would have got you home safe.
Yeah. Yeah, he's weird, but he did want that money. Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't have gotten Fred Savage home, apparently.
No, apparently not. No.
I don't think he would have robbed him.
I think he might have. I think he might. Actually, now that I think about it.
He did hate his guts. He was like, I hate this kid.
The more I think about it, the more I do think he would have robbed him now that I kind of look back at it. So that's maybe probably for the best.
I mean, that's true. And then the even weirder part of this movie, I don't know what's weirder. The fact that adults rob them for $80 or the fact that so many other adults just give them a ride with no questions asked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The 80s were crazy.
No one cared about you could just be a kid loose in the world and they're like, good luck.
I'm sure you're where you're supposed to be. I'm sure you're supposed to be hitchhiking across the country.
Even when like the movie begins with 3 kids in a bus station being like, how far does $20 get us? And the guy who sells tickets being like, it won't. And then ignoring them while they all like panically argue about how they run away. No police called. No attempt at helping.
No, like where are you trying to go? Why don't you have enough money? You can use our phone to call your mom or dad if you need to. No offer of assistance. Just like, that's that kid's problem that he doesn't have enough money to get where he's going.
It's my job to sell bus tickets.
I'm working here.
Okay, my guy.
Yeah, literally everyone they run into. Like at one point, there's just like a nice woman who looks like a mom driving the 3 of them. And I'm like, there's no way she didn't ask questions.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
One of the diners, like the server who scared away the mean teens to protect these 3 kids would have been like, where are your parents? How do you leave here today?
A diner I don't mind so much. Like they're there to play video games. They're going to eat some food. But like the side of the road.
Yeah.
The side of
the side of the road, though. So that's a big problem. Yeah, that's the 80s of it all. It's a progressive family from the 2000s, and it is the potential child murder of the 80s.
Oh God, yeah. One of them should be dead.
I mean, one of them is.
Oh God.
So there's that. There's that of the 80s.
You let them go off on their own, and one of them just.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of another reason I kind of thought this was a different movie that didn't have Nintendo before, because it has real, like, without the Nintendo stuff, it has real Stand By Me energy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Of like, there's a death, we're bonding as kids, we're just going off on our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like kind of those other kind of movies like that. Not like The Goonies, because that was too much of a romp, even though it was children putting themselves into very dangerous situations.
There were multiple
as well.
homicide attempts in The Goonies.
There were definitely.
Yeah. Josh Brolin's bike was thrown off a cliff, I think, at one point.
Indeed, absolutely.
That is an attempted murder.
A toss off a cliff.
Yeah.
From a car.
That's an attempted murder. Yeah. So, but yeah, I agree. It does have the feeling of Nintendo presents Stand By Me too.
Yeah, that's basically what this movie is.
Yeah.
And, it works just fine.
Weird vibes.
Weird vibes. Those maybe don't go together, but you don't know that until you try.
You got to try sometimes.
You got to make a little swampy and see if it tastes good.
See what happens when you mix the juices together. Well, I'm feeling pretty good on The Wizard. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good on The Wizard. I had a good time. Thanks, Beau Bridges and Christian Slater, especially.
They're doing a lot. Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Before we do ask that final question, we will remind all of y'all, as we do every week, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you might get your podcasts.
Every time you leave a review, it really helps us out in our hearts and on the charts. We feel good about ourselves. We think we're good podcasters, and we feel nice. And then people who might be thinking about listening to the show, see their reviews, they trust you, they're going to give it a try. Everybody wins.
Yeah. I think
everybody wins.
It's a quadruple win. So please take a moment. That is a free way to support the podcast. Also, if you do want to support the podcast monetarily, you can do that over on our Patreon page, which is a monthly subscription service where you can subscribe at whatever level is in your budget, and you'll get cool bonuses for whatever level you might have.
Yeah, at the $3 level, you will get Talk from Superheroes, our regular episodes, early and ad-free. You can listen to it couple days before everybody else. And at the $10 level, you get an extra episode of this podcast every single month on a topic we do not cover on the regular podcast.
That's right. This month's one, continuing the you're playing video games hard theme. We're gonna get into Tron.
Oddly enough, starring Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Beau Bridges' brother.
We're hitting all the bridges.
Oh, all the Bridges' video game-esque things. We're gonna do it.
September is the month for building bridges. We always say it here at the podcast, so that's why September is always Bridges Month. So we've got that going on. We've got Tron over on the Patreon bonus episode. And when you sign up at that $10 hero level, you get that month's as well as full access to the back catalog of exclusive episodes, which is amazing. So have a look at our Patreon page at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That's patreon.com/fromsuperheroes, and sign up if it's in the budget. If it's not, take care of yourself. I understand that as well. And thank you to all of our current and future patrons.
Thank you so much, patrons.
And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
This isn't the change I had ready, but I do kind of want to see this movie without the Nintendo stuff now that I've said it. I am very curious about the Stand By Me kind of like way more dramatic version of this movie where they don't bother doing any Nintendo things. It's just two brothers going across country to try to find a tourist attraction and leave a box. Because that's like very like indie, like could really pull at your heartstrings and work.
Yeah.
My actual change is that he should already like video games. And like he should have been playing them when his brother showed up at the house he was living in. It should have been mentioned. It should have come up several more times. I've never said this about a product placement before, but it had to get in there earlier. Earlier product placement for Nintendo would have been great. Because yeah, we were like 25 minutes in and we're like, it's just been child trauma so far. And the poster of this movie is like, yeah, video games. And you think you're going to be on this really fun video game-esque ride. And you are not. So yeah, video games earlier, and or maybe no video games. Two really different options. Andrew, what would you change?
I love that. I definitely agree with more video games earlier. The idea of the drama version of this is funny, but I do think it's Rain Man.
Yeah, you know what? I could just watch Rain Man.
You could just watch Rain Man. But yeah, I agree. Get video games in earlier to kind of match the vibes of what it's marketed as. I agree with you there. My big change is a change to the bounty hunter character.
Okay.
Who is too aggressive and violent, and like this performer does a pretty good job of it, but I feel like the casting is a little off and the setup is a little off. I think when the kid goes missing, I don't think we should meet the bounty hunter in that office.
Ooh, that'd
so
be nice.
In that office, like the wealthy new dad is like, I've hired someone to go looking for him. They're a professional. And it's like, they're visibly not. They're dressed weird. They showed up in a shitty car. They're obviously a lunatic. I feel like if you're hiring this person, you shouldn't know, and you shouldn't be able to visibly tell they're a lunatic. So I think they shouldn't be in this room. Either it is someone that this dude found in the yellow pages, and like we get kind of a more wacky madcap of this guy to be like, this is my chance. Like this is the first case I've got, or like finally I can turn it all around and pay my bills.
I'm gonna find, how hard could it be to find a kid?
We need to make this dude a dumb sad sack, as opposed to right now he's a guy who's like, I always get the kids for money. And it's like, you're scary, but if he was like, I'm imagining more of a Rick Moranis type. So imagine if this was played by like a Rick Moranis of like who gets the phone call and is hired and is like, honey, I got the first case. I swear I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna let anything stop me. And like it's just like we're gonna do it. And then he awkwardly goes off and maybe even thinks the dad is someone else hired to capture the kid. Like this bounty hunter is a frazzled idiot.
No, I like that a lot. Because, yeah, if he didn't know that Beau Bridges was the other kid, was the kid's dad, and was just like, oh, competition, I need this, it would be so much more understandable why he's slashing tires.
Or even like it could, I was even thinking it could be like he's not hired and he sees like a reward poster and is like someone else looking for the reward. He sees Beau Bridges like with photos of the kid asking around towns, slashes the tires, and it's like, you're never gonna get the kid, and like drives off. I want this to be less threatening and more of a sad sack idiot. And I really do think that like a Rick Moranis type is kind of the like the non-threatening version of what this character is.
You've really sold me on this, because now I love the miscommunication of thinking the dad is another bounty hunter, because now I like the miscommunication idea of the attempted murder scene still goes exactly the same, but Rick Moranis is like, why has this escalated so much?
Oh, yeah.
Why is Beau Bridges...
You're crazy, man!
Yeah, like, why is Beau Bridges actively trying to murder me right now? He's so mad. I don't understand.
Yes.
Like, he thinks it's just about the tires.
Yeah.
That would be wildly funny.
It adds more fun and charm to it.
Yeah,
it makes
it's
it more of a wacky race.
It's more lighthearted. It's not quite as 80s. It's how we do it today or in the 90s.
Yeah, I think I'm making more of a late 90s movie, to a certain degree.
But I like that better. So I will allow it and support it. I think that's a very fun change.
Yeah. I mean,
another second idea I had was 2 bounty hunters, but I'm like, that's too many. Because I also wanted like something less aggressive, but
chase,
fun to
or like
happen.
they're fucking with each other as opposed to like scaring the kids.
But thinking the dad is a bounty hunter is a great like resolve for that.
Yeah.
Love
so
that.
I think just set up the bounty hunter a little bit different and make it someone who's a little bit less threatening. Yeah.
I love that.
Sweet.
We did it.
We did it.
The Wizard.
The Wizard. More video games and a less threatening bounty hunter. The Wizard.
We did it.
$50,000. We did it. Well, that's going to be it for us this week. Next week on the podcast, we are going to be talking about more movies that play video games hard. And we're going to be talking about Ready Player One. Let's see what happens there.
What's this movie about?
What's even going on? So we're going to be talking about that next week. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can find me pretty much everywhere other than Twitter. You can find me pretty much everywhere at Ivimey. I'm IVIMEY. I'm on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, IVIMEY. MEY.
He's trying it all out, except for where I am, which is Tumblr at Words of Diana.
You're over there, and you know what? I love you having your zone.
I got Tumblr locked down, you guys.
She's over in the Tumblr zone. And you can find both of us most places at From Superheroes, and you can visit FromSuperheroes.com to check out all the other podcasts on the network and everything that we offer. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.